Governor's Point is a property that my family has owned for a great number of years, and Governor's Point Development Company is owned by my father. My family bought this property with the intention to ultimately develop it.
Here you can see the Chuckanut area with Chuckanut Island, and to the right top is Governor's Point, one of the pristine areas that attracts people to this city and this county.
We are asking that the resale water service that has existed since 1953 be, for lack of a better term, formalized under a resale contract with the City of Bellingham.
So if what they're asking for it, Mr. Schwan says we're asking that the resale contract be formalized. There is no resale contract because they don't sell to anybody.
I would also point out, and this is in the city's memorandum, that the city's agreement with significant bulk purchasers and resellers of water are documented in written contracts, and there's examples of those contracts. We have contracts with a variety of water districts, California Street Water Association, Deer Creek Water Association. Obviously, and we state it in our memorandum, we've been unable to locate any documentation specifying the terms of service that would be included in such a contract, even if it was an implied contract, such as maximum quantities, pricing, number of residential connections allowed, and service area covered.
The issue tonight is, first of all, not whether the proposed plat of Governor's Point should be approved, or whether Governor's Point should ultimately be developed. The issue tonight is whether the city should formalize a contract to sell water to Governor's Point Development Company.
Staff has reviewed the reasons given by the development company for claiming an implied contract, and we have found that each claim was either overstated or factually incorrect.
And again, the city sends a bill to Governor's Point Development Company every month, and it pays it. So there isn't any question about whether Governor's Point Development Company currently receives city water.
So we are currently billed for and pay for the water being used at the McCush residence.
We provide water and bill for water to 3 homes on Governor's Point, and we bill for single-family residences. Where the bill to the McCush residence goes, I can't tell you, but we're billing for a single-family residence.
Somehow Governor's Point got the bill changed to their name. But then the McCush family wrote to the City Council on December 16, 1992 in a notarized letter, "I want you to know that our water bill has been taken out of the McCush name without our consent, and in fact against our express desire to continue to receive and pay our own water bill at the service address." McCushes have never paid a cent for water to Governor's Point Development Company. Now, they give you a lot of bills showing that they're paying for the water. They've just never sold it to anybody.
I always hate to look at elected officials and have to say this, but your discretion in this issue is actually quite narrow. And it's narrow because it's governed by state law. State law assumes that the question of how and at what intensity and whether land will be developed gets decided by the applicable jurisdiction in which the land is located when that jurisdiction adopts its comprehensive plan and development regulations under the GMA.
Now, I would disagree with Ms. Spencer. I have some guiding principles that are in the city's memorandum, and I'll get to the retail service area argument, and that's an overlay. But generally, a city has discretion in deciding whether or not to supply water beyond its corporate limits.
State law provides, however, that when the issue is whether a city that acts as a municipal water utility must serve property, that city is not like a mom-and-pop grocery store, which can hang up a sign, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone." State law provides that a municipal water supplier has a duty to provide water within its retail service area. It was in the city's draft retail service area map, which is on file with the Washington Department of Health as of at least last Friday when we double-checked.
Their claim that they are in the city's retail service zone is based on a draft of the city's water service plan, which is a draft showing Governor's Point Peninsula in the retail service zone. That was a staff oversight that didn't reflect the repeal of the service zones going down the Chuckanut, or the fact that Governor's Point was never included in the service zone. Staff has taken the appropriate steps, and it takes a while to get through it, but they've notified CH2M Hill, the consultant, to correct the retail service zone map to exclude the Governor's Point area. And that plan has not been adopted, so to say that we're in the retail service zone, the only way they can say that is if you had adopted the plan, you will be dealing with that plan later this year.
State law says as well that, and this is decision law from the courts, that there's an implied contract to serve limited only by engineering constraints or applicable land use plans.
Now, the Governor's Point Development Company relies on a Court of Appeals case, Harbor versus City of Kettle Falls, in support of their claim that they have an implied contract. I would emphasize that that case recognizes the discretion that a city has when contracting to provide water outside of its city limits. And the court holds that generally an implied contract comes about when, through the course of dealing in common understanding, the parties show a mutual intent to contract with each other. The written documentation submitted to you, all the documentation, both from the development company, from Friends of Chuckanut, and from the city, shows that there was no course of dealing or common understanding between the city and Governor's Point Development Company showing a mutual intent to contract with each other. There was a lot going on, and there were big gaps in time when nothing was going on, but there wasn't that mutual intent.
When there's been a long history in which the city has held itself out as a public utility willing to serve all who request it.
The courts have also recognized, and Ms. Spencer touches on this, that implied contract to supply water may also be found where a municipality holds itself out as a public utility willing to supply all those who request service in a general area.
The remarkable thing is, for years, everyone who came and asked within the Chuckanut area was given service.
We have regularly denied requests for service. So we are not holding ourselves out as an exclusive provider. We are regularly denying people, even in the service zone, which Governor's Point was never in.
The city of Bellingham is not the exclusive provider of water to the area of Governor's Point. In fact, on Governor's Point, one of the properties had to have a well, and in the area, several other water associations and individual wells exist.
I would also stress that the Hubbard case held that these implied contracts for service are subject to a 3-year statute of limitation under state law.